3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the Play Show, yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor of 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to what is a Wednesday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all the great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 158, the free Odyssey app, and of course streaming live on YouTube. 855-212-4227 is the number to jump on in, 855-212-4227. And you could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. We got a loaded guest list for you today. Coming up 20 minutes from now, we will connect with Neal Brown, the head football coach at West Virginia, for a little college football fix. Alex Myers will join us at the top of the hour to preview the U.S. Open. Bart Winkler will stop by for Winkler Wednesdays at 4:40 p.m. Eastern time today. And then the Hall of Famer, Tim Brown, is going to join us 2 hours from now at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. Got Carlos with the K, CK, and also Moist Mike rocking and rolling with me all the way up until 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. We also have Game 3 of the NBA Finals tonight. The Boston Celtics have a 2-0 lead, as you know, up against the Dallas Mavericks. And there's a few storylines that jump out to me. And I'm wondering, what is the biggest storyline going into this game? And you could start with the health of Kristaps Porzingis. Who knows if he's going to play? I would be surprised if he's actually able to significantly contribute in another game this series. Maybe he gives it a go. I would be surprised if he gives it a go tonight, but maybe he gives it a go if necessary in a game 4, 5, 6, whatever. And I don't think you could really expect much out of him. Luka Doncic has showed up, but as the games do go on, could it be a little bit of needing better conditioning? Sure. But this guy has been dealing with rib injuries and has been dealing with leg injuries as well. I just think that body could only hold up so much. So you definitely got to monitor and talk about the health of Kristaps Porzingis and Luka Doncic. But the storyline that jumps out to me the most is when you look at the first two games. Sure, you could give an ample amount of credit to the Boston Celtics for their defense. We can discuss the Celtics taking a 2-0 series lead and taking care of business on their home court. But the two players that I think are the storyline tonight is, what are we going to see out of Kyrie Irving and Jayson Tatum? Kyrie Irving through 2 games has been a big fat zero on the court. He has done nothing in holding up his end of the bargain, where if Luka plays well, you have to match that production, because the duo of Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving is fantastic. And I do believe the crowd, and how Kyrie tries to tell you this is not a big deal, but it is a big deal, and it significantly impacts Kyrie Irving. I don't think he could deal with the Boston Celtics crowd. And in game 1 after game 1, people thought I was too harsh. I was right. Where I just said he doesn't have the mental toughness to win 4 games in this series when you have to go into Boston, even if the series did go the distance, what would be 4 times games 1 and 2, then game 5, and then what could be a game 7 in this series. The good news for Kyrie is now you go home. Now you go to Dallas tonight, and you don't have to deal. Like, there'll be some Boston fans in the building, but that's a home crowd for you. So there's no excuses for Kyrie Irving. If Kyrie Irving gives us another dud tonight, then the Celtics are going to win. They're going to go up 3-0. And I'm not going to say they're going to sweep. You know, could they? Obviously they could. But then this series will be over in 5 because Boston up 3-1, going back home. I would find it very tough for Kyrie Irving and the Mavs to win in that spot. But the other storyline that jumps out to me when you move off of Kyrie Irving is Jayson Tatum. Because Jayson Tatum, if the Celtics would have lost game 2, where it seemed like for a while they were begging the Mavericks to get back in the game and for Boston not to win that game, and Boston at halftime, they were dreadful shooting the ball at the end of the first quarter with how poorly Tatum played. He didn't register a single point in the first quarter. For them to only be down by 3, that was a win for the Boston Celtics. And I know you could tell me about Tatum being selfless. I know you could tell me about the assists with Jayson Tatum, but Jayson Tatum gets paid to score the basketball. And so far, his lack of scoring has not derailed this team in the NBA Finals because they're up 2-0. But I look at Jayson Tatum tonight, and I think there's a tremendous amount of pressure on him. Sure, the series isn't lost tonight, but the series could be won tonight. If Jayson Tatum gives you one of those top 10 player-like performances in the league, where he could just get to the rim and he finds a way to finish, and he could hit you with the outside shot and the multiple ways on the court that he could put the ball in the hoop. If he gives you one of those unconscious Jayson Tatum type of games, and he puts up 30-plus points tonight, and the Celtics take a 3-0 series lead, this series is over. And I know it's easy for me to get on the air and right out of the gate say, hey, Kyrie, you got to show up tonight. Because there's more pressure on the Mavs tonight than there are the Boston Celtics because the Celtics are up 2-0. And they know that they just have to, or it would behoove them to split one of these next two games. But let's just say, even if the Celtics didn't do that, yeah, it's still 2-2. The Mavs then have life, and then Game 5 turns into a you-gotta-have-it type of game for the Boston Celtics. But you look at something that has plagued the Celtics in the last few years. It's when a team is begging you to put them out of their misery, can you execute the kill shot? And there has been a lack of a killer instinct from the Boston Celtics the last few years. And you look at it this year, outside of Game 2 in the NBA Finals, there's really not a moment of universal praise that this team has heard this year. And that was with their incredible regular season. But in the first round series of the NBA playoffs in the Eastern Conference, they dropped Game 2 against the Heat, and people were like, see, this is the old Boston Celtics. Then in the second round series against the Cavs, they dropped Game 2, and people said, see, this is the old Boston Celtics. And even when they quickly took care of business up against Indiana, it really meant nothing because I know Indiana got there because of the Knicks injuries, but Indiana was without Tyrese Halliburton for the last two games of the series. And quite frankly, even if they had him, we all knew it wasn't going to make a difference. So Boston obviously shuts up every critic when they win a championship. And they'll win the championship this year. Like, I'm very confident the Celtics are going to win the championship. There's a reason why I picked them in 6 before this series did start. But you have an opportunity tonight, Jayson Tatum, where if you go out there and score 30-plus points and win this game, you eliminate any doubt, even if it's a minuscule amount of doubt that people have in regards to the Boston Celtics winning this championship. Because there's never been a team in the history of the NBA to be down 3-0 in a playoff series and force a Game 7 and win that Game 7. Because we saw Boston last year. They were down 3-0. They forced a Game 7, and they lost to the Miami Heat. But you go up 3-0, the fat lady could start singing, turn out the lights, and this party's over. So that's what fascinates me the most heading into this game tonight. It's Jayson Tatum and it's Kyrie Irving. Because Jayson Tatum right now would not be the Finals MVP. He could give you a Finals MVP performance tonight if he goes and scores 34 points and they go up 3-0. And for Kyrie Irving, if you don't show up in this series and you don't show up bare minimum Game 3 tonight, everything that people said about you the last few weeks really just goes away because, yes, you and Luka got to the NBA Finals, but you can't be the second best player on this team and fail to show up 3 games in a row. And the first 2, maybe you chalk it up, right, because of the Boston crowd and how much that's been a problem for him. But if you don't show up tonight, it just tells me that the Celtics, home or on the road, just absolutely own Kyrie Irving. So those are my thoughts on the NBA Finals as we get into Game 3 tonight. I also just want to bring up, I'd be remiss if I didn't do this right out of the gate, the passing of the logo today in Jerry West, who passed away at the age of 86. When you live 86 years on this planet, obviously a day like this is sad, but it's less tragic than if, let's say, Jerry West was like 45. So when you have an older person pass away, I tend to lean more so on the celebratory side and celebrating their life. Obviously, I understand the emotions and how somber it is if you knew Jerry West or if you're a fan of Jerry West, or obviously if he's a relative of yours. So obviously my condolences to everyone that knew Jerry West and his family. But Jerry West is one of the more iconic names in the history of the NBA. And, from many different angles. You saw what he did as a player. There's a reason he's the logo. And as an executive, how many stars, right, he put together and how many duos and even sometimes trios that he saw put together. He was in LA. We all know the late, great Kobe Bryant's respect for Jerry West and Kobe and Shaq. In Golden State with him being there in that front office and bringing in Durant and, you had Steph Curry there and Klay Thompson And obviously Draymond Green and what he was able to do there. And then he did go leave Golden State and join the Clippers and Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Like, it goes on and on and on. It's rare when you have a person dominate basketball as long as Jerry West has. And it's one thing when he did it as a player, but then to do it as an executive, and we're talking decades and decades and decades of people knowing who Jerry West is, and not just for what he did in the past. And that's what makes Jerry West so unique, is you could ask people my age about Jerry West, and it's what he did with the Lakers or what he did with the Golden State Warriors. And then if you talk to older people, it's, let's look at one of the greatest players of all time. So what a unique and what a rare life. And I just hope today that Jerry West and Kobe Bryant are above and they're just talking and having a good time in heaven. So be remiss if I didn't say that right out of the gate as we remember the life of the logo, Jerry West. We'll take a timeout. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. When we come on back, we will go to a college football fix. Neal Brown, the head football coach of West Virginia, is going to join us. He's about to enter his 6th season as the head coach of West Virginia. Last year was his most successful one, and it earned him a contract extension. A lot of people thought Neal Brown was going to get fired, and last year was a lame duck season. He ended up winning 9 games, and now there's some big expectations for West Virginia as you go into the 6th year of Neal Brown as their head football coach. Coming on back, it is the Zach Gelb Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We miss college football.
Milrose stands in. He throws into the end zone. He caught it. It's caught by Isaiah Bond in the corner of the end zone. Touchdown, Alabama.
We can't wait for the 2024 season.
Hands it off to Edwards, who will bounce it outside. Got him at 40. Got him at 30. Donovan Edwards is in the clear. His second touchdown run of the ball game. This time from 46 yards. And Michigan has taken a 13-3 lead on the second touchdown of the night from the man who was not tripping.
And we're counting down the days to kick off.
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
I said no.
Are we there yet?
What's wrong with your ears?
Here is your college football fix, only on the Zach Gelb Show.
Alrighty, rocking and rolling. We continue. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. It's time for a little college football fix. We are 80 days away from West Virginia kicking off its season against Penn State. Last year, the Mountaineers had a 9-win season, and now joining us is the head football coach at West Virginia, entering his 6th season, and that, of course, is Coach Neal Brown. Coach, first and foremost, thanks so much for doing this, and how you been?
Hey, I am good. I'm good. I appreciate you having me on. And for anybody that's watching, that's my 9-year-old son that just slid behind our grease board there. So like I just saw it as I was talking to you. So Dax is his name. Dax, you and the board slide out of the picture there.
That's wonderful.
If anybody was questioning whether this was live or not, hey, we're ready to roll.
That's great. Well, how about the program that you have now? You're entering your 6th season. You guys are coming off a big win, and it seems like obviously it's a family atmosphere at West Virginia.
Yeah, well, it's we have momentum, and momentum is only as good as your last game, and so we've got a challenging schedule coming up. It starts right here in our home stadium, Mountaineer Field, where we host Penn State on the Fox Big Noon game, and man, that's a game that we're really excited about. And we returned a lot of production off our team last year. I think we've got a good mix of youth and experience. Offensively, we bring back almost in our entire production in all our skill positions. We miss our center, Zach Frazier, who was a second-round pick of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then Doug Nestor, who was a starting lineman here for us for 3 years. But we've got a large piece of that back, and it starts with Garrett Green and Jaheim White at running back, who I think is as good as anybody. C.J. Donaldson, who's a big, powerful back, provide a 1-2 punch. And then defensively, our front, which played really well down the stretch last year, a lot of that production is back. We feel like we've made some real improvements at linebacker. And then secondary, that's where we needed to make our biggest jump. And our secondary and then improving a couple of our special teams is where we need to make a jump to be able to go from a 9-win to a 10-11 team win and a team that can get to Dallas for our playoff or for our championship and into the playoff.
You talk about all the guys that you return, and we'll get into more detail about them in a bit. But now there's expectations. Now, I don't want to say you guys didn't have a belief, but you have something tangible to hold on to with the 9-win season. How are you guys last year able to block out all the noise, right? Everyone had your name on the hot seat. People were talking negatively about the program, and get the season that you guys were able to have a year ago?
Well, I think just from a leadership standpoint, myself and our staff, we always believed that in our plan and our process. And there were some things that occurred that are out of our control that maybe where it took a year, year and a half longer than maybe we anticipated getting it turned. But we felt really good about what we were doing offensively and defensively on special teams. Felt really good about how we set up our calendar. We felt good about our support areas. And it's been a slow build, like people on the outside don't really think about your support areas, but your nutrition, your sports psychology, your strength and conditioning, those are nutrition. I can keep going on. Athletic training, those things, really the foundational pieces of your program, those take time. And they weren't here when we first got here. We've built them up where we feel like they're a real big strength of ours now. We've gone all in on technology and sports science, and that's something that I think sets us apart. It's a difference maker for us in recruiting and retaining. And so it just takes time. And so we felt good about what we had. We always talk about from a facility standpoint, support staff, going into last year is really when we felt like, all right, this is what we have in place gives us an opportunity. And then we've slowly been building through the high school ranks, and our talent's good enough. And so we had a lot of confidence, and we knew we had a few players that people didn't know about, Garrett Green, Jaheim White, that were really good players. They just hadn't had an opportunity to show it yet.
And your quarterback, Garrett Green, had 29 total touchdowns a year ago, as Coach Neal Brown is here with us. Dual threat guy, could kill you on the ground, can kill you through the air. Just for people that haven't seen him, and now maybe they'll get a better understanding of who he is this year with some expectations with your program, just what can people expect out of your quarterback?
Well, there's not going to be anybody in the country that's more fun to watch. He's entertaining. He's capable of a big play every time he touches it. He's got elite speed for the position. He's not as big as some other people, but he's big enough. He's really got lower body strength, which enables him to break tackles and run away from people. He extends plays. He throws the ball down the field extremely well. I think he led college football in explosive passes last year. But he's really intelligent. And what our big push for him during the offseason is really getting him where he's more efficient on short and intermediate throws. And those really come into effect down in the red zone and on third down and medium and third down and long. And so we feel like if he can go from a 53% passer to a 60 to 63% passer, then he's got a chance to be as productive as any quarterback in the country this year.
Coach Neal Brown here with us. Heading into last season, I was familiar with C.J. Donaldson Jr. And Jaheim White had a really big breakout season for you guys. When you have a young player like White who had so much success in year one, what was kind of the message to him in this offseason, knowing, hey, this guy could produce in big boy college football, but there's still more room to grow?
Yeah, I think that it's just about taking a step. And the way that I talked to Jaheim, and he's got special talent, is, okay, here's where we've got to improve. We got to improve in pass protection. We have to improve in our productivity in the receiving game. And now our expectations of you are much higher than they were as a true freshman. But when I talked to him, I asked him, I'm like, okay, if you had the exact same production, which he was in that 700, 800 yard range, I believe. So if we fast forwarded and all of a sudden it's December and that's the yardage you have, are you going to be pleased? And the answer, of course, is no. He wants more. Okay, so if you want to be more productive, then you have to put in more work. And that's the real challenge for him is the offseason, the winter, the summer, is putting in the real work where he can do that.
You were very confident heading into last year, Coach Neal Brown. And a few of the things you said at Big 12 Media Days obviously caught some fire. This team this year, I know earlier you talked about, get into a Big 12 championship and also get into a college football playoff spot, and obviously it expands to 12 teams this year. Going into this year, obviously you're going to be confident, but why do you think this team could accomplish all those things that you laid out earlier for us?
Well, it's a challenge without a question. We've got a great opportunity to really get on the national landscape in week one. I feel strongly off our body of work from last season and who we have returning that we should be a preseason top 25. And the way college football works, you've got to be around that preseason, either in the preseason top 25 or around it to be able to get into some of those discussions. That's just the way it kind of works. And so with our production, and then we play a really challenging schedule. Go Penn State host, opener, Albany, a really good FCS opponent. Then we go to Pitt.
Backyard brawl.
We play 11 Power 5 opponents, which we're one of the few teams that do that in the country. And so our schedule is as challenging as anybody out there. The Big 12 Conference is extremely competitive. And I think it's one of the more exciting conference races there is because there's not a whole big difference 1 through 16 in our league. And it's not a top-heavy league like some other conferences. And that gives you a real opportunity. The access to the playoff is from where we're sitting at West Virginia is much greater than it is in some of these schools in the SEC and the Big Ten, and it just is. And so that's something that we're talking about. The West Virginia has never been in the Big 12 Conference Championship since 2012, and that's the goal for us. The playoff. We know if we get to that game, then more than likely we're going to get in the playoff. And so that'll take care of itself. But for us, it's about doing something that's never been done, and it's about those daily processes to get us there.
When you talk about that daily process and you have success, now you're not going to fly under anyone's radar, and you know that. But then also, I know there's so much change in college football now, but people still have that fear of maybe complacency sets in. So let me ask you, in this offseason program and leading up to game one up against Penn State, have you sensed your team even hungrier than maybe where they were a year ago?
Well, we better be. Penn State handily beat us. We were competitive in that game, but we didn't make the plays we needed to make in the second and third quarter to be able to win it. And we still remember vividly them scoring late in the game and putting that game out of reach. And so this is it's about us showing how much better we've gotten. It doesn't have anything to do with Penn State. We know they're going to be a top 10 team. We feel really good. Their talent and how they're coached. Those guys do a great job. But how much have we improved as a program? And then we're a team that just because we won a bowl game and 9 games, that wasn't. We were up midway through the fourth quarter against Oklahoma State in a game we win here. We had a fluke play where we were getting the ball back up 4, and one of our jammers on the punt return runs into our punt returner, and then Oklahoma State scores 2 plays later and take control of that game. We got beat in a Hail Mary at Houston, and so we're really close to being an 11-win team, but we weren't. And so we've got to do things during this time of the year, the summer, to earn the opportunity to be in those types of games again, but this time make sure the outcome goes our way.
How are you guys able to keep that trust? Just wondering, because for a while, right, like going into last year, Coach, you know what the conversation was, Neal Brown. People thought that there was going to be a new coach and new leadership here that I was going to be talking to and previewing West Virginia, and you guys were able to stick it to a lot of people. So how did you keep everyone still on one page and working as a team and all locked in?
Yeah, I think just being transparent with the guys. Like, I don't think our team ever felt that pressure. Just because I never from being in the leader of the entire organization, I never put that on our assistants. Our assistants never put that on our players. I think your attitude and how you conduct business, if you have belief and you explain the why we're doing this and why we have belief, then and you treat people right, then I think you get good results. And so our guys never felt that pressure. It was coming from the outside world. And the other thing too is our administration, our athletic director, Ren Baker, and our president, Gordon Gee, there was good alignment. And so I didn't necessarily feel we knew we needed to win, but I wasn't getting daily pressure from them. And also I knew like we were returning most of our defensive front, which was really productive. we were returning the most starts in the Big 12 on our offensive line. I think we were top 3 in the country offensive line starts coming back. So anytime you're good on both fronts, you got a chance. And that's where the national media really missed. And that's why I think it was lazy, just because college football is won in the trenches.
100%.
And we had a bunch of production coming back on both sides of the ball. And that's why I was really comfortable and confident that we were going to play much better.
Last thing I'll ask you, when you go into this season, right now, what do you think the biggest strength of your team is, Neal Brown? And then what's the area this offseason where you're like, you talk about improvements where you say, okay, this is the area we improve the most on this football team entering into the season?
Well, I think when you start, our strength's got to be running the football. We led the Power 5 in rushing last year, and that's got to continue to be a strength. That's who we are. We want to be a team that runs the ball extremely well and hits explosive pass plays. And so that'll remain the strength of our team. Defensively, I think the strength is we tackle well. And I think how we prepare our guys to go tackle is unique. And I think we're onto something in there. And I think we'll continue to take a step there in how we tackle. The 2 areas of improvement that we've got there's 3 areas. I'll give you 3. First of all, on special teams, our kickoff cover team has got to be much improved, and it starts with our kicker. We got to kick the ball in the end zone. That unit really hurt us last year. Second thing on defense is we've got to be better at taking the football away. We didn't have enough takeaways last year. We got to take the ball away. And then the third thing offensively is we've got to be better on third downs and scoring touchdowns in the red zone. And both of those are linked to our pass efficiency, and our completion percentage has got to be higher in those situations.
Just one more for you, Neal Brown, actually, that just popped into my head. For people that are still doubting your program and West Virginia and think last year was just a fluke and it was a one-hit wonder, what do you say to people like that?
Well, I don't know how you would say that, that we're the 15th winningest program in the country. We've been in a bunch of different conferences, and we've always been extremely competitive. And I think, too, is if I was going to make a statement for our team, again, I would argue that, we got a first-round pick at left tackle in Wyatt Milam. We have one of, if not the most exciting player in college football at quarterback. We've got 2 running backs that have been freshman All-American. We returned almost every catch that we had from a year ago at our receiving core, and we were extremely explosive. Turn on defense is we were very good at stopping the run and TFLs and sacks, and we feel like we've even improved ourselves from a year ago. And so that's a ton. And we return our kicker, our long snapper, our punter, and our returners. And so there's not a whole lot of teams across college football that have done that. And so that's what my belief it comes from. And I think we've also added some key pieces in areas of needs that will help us on our ability to rush the passer in one-on-one situations and be able to defend the pass on defense.
Well, Coach, I never need any extra incentive to root against Penn State, be it a Temple University grad, but I think you provided that today. So good luck coming up against Penn State 80 days from now, and good luck and good health to your entire team for this upcoming season.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Appreciate what you do for college football. Appreciate you having me on.
Good deal. There he is, the head football coach at West Virginia, Neal Brown, joining us for a college football fix on the Zach Gelb Show. We'll take a break. We'll keep it on the gridiron when we come on back, but we'll go from college to the pros, and we will discuss Aaron Rodgers' absence from Jets' mandatory minicamps and who's going to win the AFC East for this upcoming season of the NFL. Alex Meyer still to come. In about 25 minutes from now, we'll preview the U.S. Open. Bart Winkler will stop by for Winkler Wednesdays at 4:40 p.m. Eastern time today. And then the Hall of Famer, Tim Brown, will join us at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. Let's get the latest Infinity Sports Network update with the Ackman, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your home and auto. Save when you bundle. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Jerry West had an incredible impact on the NBA over the last 7 decades. Perhaps the most legendary figure in sports history has died at the age of 86. He was a 3-time Hall of Famer. West's accolades as a player as good as it gets. The 1959 most outstanding player in the Final Four before winning a gold medal at the 1960 Summer Olympics. West lifted the Lakers when they arrived in L.A. and spent all 14 of his NBA seasons in the purple and gold. He was an all-star in every one of those years, winning a scoring title. He also led the league in assists one year and was a 4-time first-team all-defensive player. West Lakers teams were in the final 7 times before finally getting that elusive title in 1972. The only one he'd win as a player. He'd get 8 more as an executive, leading to another Hall of Fame selection and a third as part of that 1960 Olympic team. The man known as the league logo will be remembered before Game 3 of the NBA Finals tonight. The Celtics, who broke West's heart more than any other team, hold a 2-0 series lead over the Mavericks. Baseball right now, the Twins lead the Rockies by a score of 10-5, but it's in a rain delay in the 7th. The Blue Jays with a 1-0 lead over the Brewers, bottom 5. I'm Rich Ackerman.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
Tell you something, I think you'll understand.
I feel like we should play more Beatles on this show. It's a good rejoin. It's a good job by Carlos Ortiz. I don't want to hold his hand, but I did give Carlos a big high five during the break because I walked into the control room and I go, man, it smells like there's some good chicken in there. And I didn't know that Chef Mike Samter, cooked up some moist wings, and they were delicious. Samter made some wings, moved out to Connecticut, now got the big porch, now got the big BBQ, and he was barbecuing some wings last night. And I always say this, politics will never unify the country. There's so many things that could divide the country. For years, I said pigs in the blanket, for the most part, should unify the country. I would always make that joke when my sister was getting ready for her wedding. And, there's always like the family problems leading up to a wedding. This person wants to do this person wants to do that. And it's like, whose wedding is this? Let's do whatever the bride and the groom wants. I'm like, just make sure you have pigs in the blanket. They're the great unifier that bring everyone together. But I will say, what unified this show, not that we were really divided, but Carlos was very hungry today. And I guess he was going to text Hickey, hey, Hickey, on your way in, can you pick me up a sandwich there? Hot take, Hickey. And Santa said, I got some wings that I brought in from home. Now, you could mess up wings very easily. And I have a strict standard for wings. When I was on one of these bachelor parties I was on, we got a chef, this guy, Chef Rob. He made like devil's poached eggs, which were really damn good. He made this candy, I think it was pork belly, which was phenomenal. He made jambalaya, which was really good. But then the main course, he made a very good mac and cheese. But the main course, he made ribs and he made wings. And I'm not going to lie, the way that they looked, I thought they were going to taste a lot better. And they were underwhelming. Because I like a wing that's crispy. I like a crispy wing. But Samter, I'll give you credit for the barbecue wings that you made, because you could mess those up easily. And I didn't realize because I wasn't looking at the screen. I just saw Carlos eating and devouring those wings. I did not know Carlos was on camera during Fat kid in a candy store.
Yeah,
Carlos
we did that on purpose.
Right
and now he's trying to put his headphones on, and his hands are all sticky from the wings.
I did promise. Three fingers is all I had for the segment.
Pete the Body Bilotti tomorrow is going to get to do the board for Maggie and Perloff, and he's going to be like, why does this board smell like barbecue sauce? Why is there barbecue sauce all over the board? But a job well done, Samter.
I appreciate that, man. Listen, now that I'm a suburban man and I have a deck with a beautiful grill.
Big deck.
I have a big deck. I have to be able to utilize it as best as possible. And so I'm practicing, but I agree with you 100%. Wings have to be crispy, right? Mm-hmm. Even if it's buffalo wings.
Crispy and blue cheese.
Those are the two biggest things that you have to look at for a wing. It's the sauce and the crispiness. Like a soggy, mushy kind of wing.
Hate 'em.
Not good.
Terrible.
It's got to be crisp, and it's got to, you got to crunch into it.
Wait.
Oh, yeah.
You got this bastard corn, too?
Oh, yeah. We made some corn, too.
Wait. I'm actually offended now. Carlos gets wings, corn, and French fries. I just got one wing. You were holding out the good stuff on us.
Well, Carlos was hungry. He had no food, and I was like, well, I have some leftover food. This was actually from Sunday, to be fair. I had some leftover food. I ate some Monday, some yesterday, and I had some leftover today. And I was like, you know what? I was going to eat it tomorrow, but Carlos was hungry, and it's fine.
How many days ago did you make those wings?
Sunday.
That kind of shows you how good the wings are.
Precisely.
Where sometimes I don't mind leftover wings because then they marinate a little bit more in the sauce. But the fact is that you served those on Wednesday and you made them on Sunday to Carlos, and they were still that good. Then I wonder what they were like coming out fresh. They're probably even better.
Oh, yeah. So, and here we don't have a stove or an oven or anything like that. So this is all microwave. And microwave's going to make it a little bit softer,
too. A little soggy, a little moist.
It was really nice. I hate you. It was nice and crunchy, real crunchy. And a little extra char, a little burnt almost. And I like it like that.
Can you make us wings one day?
Absolutely.
For the show. I will gladly pay for all the materials, all that. But I think that we should, one summer day on a Friday. Well, maybe we can make this a bit. Santa Friday. Well, I'm going to be off a lot of Fridays in the summer, so maybe we do it Thursdays. Tasty Treat Thursdays on the Zach Gelb Show, where we just let Santa cook up a bunch of things.
I have a very limited repertoire of items that I can cook, but I will try some things.
Luckily for you guys, I don't. I have a very vast, repertoire when it comes to cooking stuff.
Oh, yeah?
So we can stretch this potluck out for a while.
All right, so let's do this. Let's pick a month. Let's say July. Coming up in July. Every Thursday, someone will be responsible for making something. So one Thursday, it will be Santer's. Then, Stu, Carlos, whoever's running the board these days for us. I will make something, and it will just be on just Thursdays in July. Tasty Treat Thursdays on the Zach Gelb Show. Someone will bring something in. You won't tell us what you're making. And we will evaluate it and rate it properly on the air. And then once, let's say Samter goes, then the next week I'll go. And then Carlos do, Manny, Chris Hess, whoever ends up running the board on this show. Imagine you just they hire a new part-timer. They throw him right into the fire on the board. Hey, you got to make us some brownies. And I ain't talking about the special brownies. I'm talking about the good brownies.
Could you imagine if we were eating special brownies on the show? I mean, we already have a lot of fun, and we're goofy enough as it is. Imagine if that was happening.
That's definitely a Friday summer show.
It's a slow Thursday on the Zach Gelb Show.
I will say I also worked in an Italian restaurant, so I have a few Italian dishes I can throw together.
All right, so maybe we're going to double up Samter. You know what? Samter will be the cookie of the Oreo. The rest of us will be the cream. You will start it off.
Sounds so wrong.
Then on that's because you have a dirty mind. And then the other end of the cookie will end it, and everyone else will fill up the rest.
You're the one who made me serving hot dogs dirty yesterday. I mean, come on.
I don't recall what you're saying. I don't have a memory of what you were saying or what you were accusing me of. Anyway, can we have a conversation about Aaron Rodgers? Because I'm never one where I like to say, I told you so. But I got a very interesting text from Samter today. And by the way, it's time to Ask the Pros, where you, the listener, gets to ask us a question. It's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at INF Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag Ask the Pros. Be listening later in the show when we might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. My line of thinking yesterday, when I heard that Aaron Rodgers not at mandatory minicamps, and Robert Saleh said he knew this was going to happen, but then when he was talking about it, he was like, it's an event important to Aaron Rodgers. I had a few takes, and my takes yesterday were very simply this. It seemed like Robert Saleh was not thrilled that Rodgers isn't there. I also wanted to know where Aaron Rodgers was. Not that I really care, but I just think it's intriguing because Aaron Rodgers could be anywhere and nothing would surprise me. But overall, my main takeaway was it's not a story that makes me irate. And I know Rodgers does it to himself, but when you are very polarizing, people like to make something maybe a bigger deal than what it actually is. But I did say many times yesterday, as long as the Jets' offensive line stays healthy and Aaron Rodgers is healthy this year, no one's going to give a rat's ass that Aaron Rodgers wasn't at practice for July 11th or July 12th with mandatory minicamp. Now, Samter, you were pretty animated yesterday, and you were pretty disgusted with Aaron Rodgers. And I got a text from you, and you usually don't change your tune that quickly. But now I think you want to issue like somewhat of a mea culpa, and you think this Rodgers story has got blown out of proportion. Is that right?
You know, I never thought that I would have to figure out what crow tastes like. I just assumed it tastes like chicken. But crow does not
Pretty
taste...
good chicken.
Yeah, crow does not taste good. I'm eating crow today. I feel like I jumped the gun. I heard the frustration in Salah's voice, and it just felt like they were just frustrated.
And you don't like Rodgers, let's just be real.
Yes, but it's more just like hearing Salah just sounded pissed off. And it sounded like he was just fed up with Rodgers' nonsense.
Sure.
But the more I'm hearing about it, he's been at every voluntary workout that the team has held since he joined the team. He scheduled this trip before the team even put out the schedule for when minicamp was going to be. So he scheduled this predating so he would have to cancel his trip for the team. So if the team cared that much about it, they would have maybe like thought about him, oh, well, Rodgers isn't going to be here. Either we'll excuse him or we'll just change the dates of minicamp by a day or two.
Let's be real. Like Robert Saleh may be the head coach in terms of title. Aaron Rodgers is the real head football coach of this team. He's also the president. He's like Kevin Durant when Kevin Durant was in Brooklyn. He could do whatever he wants, and ultimately you have to be healthy and you have to play well. And we know in Brooklyn that wasn't the case for Kevin Durant, and other people that he brought in didn't hold up their end of the bargain. So I know people are looking to talk about something in June, but to me this isn't really that big of a deal. I just want to know where he is at, because they're making out like it's a vacation. Is it just a vacation to Rodgers because he's not doing something football related? Like, is he on an island somewhere? Like, vacation to me means I'm burying my toes somewhere in the sand, laying on a beach and drinking a bunch of cervezas, ready? Like, that's what that means to me. But is a vacation for Aaron Rodgers just being away from the Jets facility and going to some like RFK Jr. function or some ayahuasca retreat, which could be a fun vacation.
You know, if he planned something months in advance and told the team, hey, I'm going to be away these days, and the team was like, cool, we're going to schedule minicamp those days, that's more on the team than on him. I don't think Rodgers did anything wrong here.
Yeah.
I actually I step back completely. I still think it's going to be a bleep show there, but I don't think this is part of that.
And also, it kind of shows you that the coach needs to communicate that better. Because the coach left it up for interpretation and made me think that the coach was annoyed yesterday. I did talk to John Kuhn, by the way, and he told me that he said this on his radio show today, the former Packer and really close friend of Aaron Rodgers. It just shows that there's something more important than football to Aaron Rodgers at the age of 40, and you sometimes got to prioritize that when you get a little bit older in life. Alex Myers will join us next to talk golf U.S. Open as we get our third major championship of the year.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
All righty, away we go. Hour number 2 of our radio program. That's right, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We have the third major championship of the year, the U.S. Open. That will come your way starting tomorrow at Pinehurst. And now joining us is a senior writer from Golf Digest, and he always joins us to preview the golf major championships. And that is Alex Myers. Alex, thanks so much for doing this as always. How you been, my friend? Alex, you there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
We got you now. Perfect.
All right. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Little Birdie, by the way, told me that you got a hole-in-one. Is that accurate? Tell us about it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I thought that's why you were having me on the show, right?
Alex Myers, Tiger Woods, Scotty Scheffler.
It's pretty crazy, Zach. Not only did I make a hole-in-one at Oak Hill on the Michael Block hole.
Wow.
Getting a shout-out from Michael Block himself. I happened to be playing in the Coaches versus Cancer golf outing, and I was playing with Carlos Boozer, of all people, and Sean Farnham from ESPN, and he started working his magic, and he got me on SportsCenter that night, not only as a segment, and then they come back, I was in the top 10 plays of the day, number 10. So I've like officially made it. It's been about 48 hours. I still can't believe it happened. It's been pretty crazy.
Right away, did you realize that it went in, or were you like, oh, we got to drive up and see if it actually happened? Like what was the immediate reaction?
Yeah. So again, like obviously I would take any hole in one ever, but you always want to be able to see it. And we got to this hole, and I wasn't even thinking, oh, this is the Michael Block hole. I was just thinking, oh, it's a downhill par 3. It's, relatively short. It was playing dead into the wind, but it was relatively short. And I said this is an ace hole, guys. I'm going to take out my phone and video everybody. And so I videoed Sean, I videoed Carlos, I videoed my buddy Steve at work, and then I handed him the phone.
Shank, probably of the first 3, right?
And what now? Shank.
Bad shots for the first 3?
No, 2 of them hit really good shots, and the wind was so severe that they came up short. So when I hit it, we started celebrating just that I hit the green because the conditions were that tough. But look, my eyesight is horrible. I probably should have glasses or contacts. I've been just lazy. I've never gotten them. Even I could see this. The ball landed in the middle of the green and just started trickling, and then it just disappeared. And so it was a no doubter, Zach. It was not, I have friends who've made them and they thought the ball was lost and then they checked the hole and, whatever. Like it was not, I got to see it go in. I got to see it on video and I got to make SportsCenter, and it was an open bar already. So I didn't even have to pay for drinks for anybody. So
that's just a good job.
Perfect storm. Yeah. Perfect storm.
Awesome. Alex Myers here with us. So when we had you on for the PGA Championship, we talked about how there was no buzz going into the tournament. Then Scotty Scheffler gets arrested, and we ended up having a tremendous leaderboard on that Sunday. It ended up being a good tournament considering the circumstances. If I didn't work in the sports world, I would have no clue that this weekend was the U.S. Open. It seems like there is no buzz once again with this golf major championship. What does that mean?
Yeah, I'm not. I wouldn't disagree with you, of course, from a national sports landscape. I agree. There hasn't been. I mean, all the talk is Danny Hurley or Caitlin Clark or whatever else is going on. Within the golf space, there's a lot of buzz just because, you do have Scheffler doing historic things. Now you have Schauffele with the major off his back, the monkey off his back in a major. And now you get to go to Pinehurst, which the most exciting thing to me, look, I've played Pinehurst. I think it's a great course. I think it's a little overrated, but in terms of a championship level course to watch a tournament on, I think it's going to be one of the most complete tests that you could have for golfers out there. And so I'm excited to see the players challenged in so many different ways. And, look, over time, I guess I will agree the Masters is the best tournament, but I've always had a particular soft spot for the U.S. Open, actually ever since 1999 at Pinehurst when Payne Stewart won with that walk-off putt against Phil, being the only person to shoot under par. He was 1 under to win. I just loved the struggle and the grind of everything with this event. And I think it's going to be like that this week, Zach. The conditions are, there's no rain in the forecast. It's going to be fast. It's going to be firm. There's going to be balls running all over the place off these crazy greens. So I get what you mean from a national sports landscape, but within the golf community, I think a lot of people are really excited about this week.
Alex Myers here with us. So John Rahm had to withdraw because of a foot infection. What can you tell us about that? And is there any takeaway from it? Because I don't know what to expect out of John Rahm going into the U.S. Open, which is crazy how great of a golfer he's been throughout the last few years.
Yeah, well, I mean, the big takeaway for me is that this has just been a disastrous year for him. I mean, let's be honest. He goes to live in December. He kind of avoids the public backlash that maybe the other stars did that went to live. He'd bought, some credibility or whatever with people.
Yeah, and most people are done with the live golf PGA stuff. Like 3 years ago, he would have got slammed. Now, who cares?
Exactly. So he did a good job there. He kind of got away with that. But then, he's played well, but he hasn't won a live event, which you would assume, he could pick off 1 or 2 by this point. And then defends his title at the Masters is horrible. makes the cut, but making the cut there is pretty easy.
Wanted no part of the green jacket ceremony.
Right. Looked miserable, as many people pointed out.
Looked like he was getting root canal for being serious.
Right. And then PGA Championship plays even worse, misses the cut. And now withdraws last week from the live event. You're like, okay, well, we've seen guys withdraw from a live event, but then they play the major the next week. It must be really bad for him to withdraw from a U.S. Open as a former U.S. Open champ and everything else. And now you have to wonder if he'll even be healthy for the Open Championship. And, this is a guy who, yes, he's now cashed out and taken this big live paycheck, but he's the guy who's on the record as saying, I want to win more majors than Tiger. I think I can do it. I think I can play till I'm 50, picking off a major every year. Well, this is going to be a completely lost year for him in terms of majors in the prime of his career. So other than the bank account, it's been 2024 has been a disaster for Jon Rahm.
And I was reading today on the ESPN, Alex Myers, and obviously we have no expectations for Tiger Woods anymore, but he's plus 200 to make the cut, and then to miss the cut, I was reading he was minus 300. So
Oof.
What do you, like, that's kind of crazy. Plus 200 for Tiger to make the cut, it kind of tells me that people don't expect him, obviously, to make the cut here.
Yeah, and you know what? I've been going back and forth on it, but I don't expect him to either. And I thought he would do it at the Masters. He did. I thought he would miss at the PGA. Did. This one's a little tougher because, Pinehurst is a relatively flat course, which should help him and his ankle and everything else. It's going to be hot, which he likes for the back and everything else. But then his short game is so rusty. He just doesn't play. And, that used to be what would, even when he was off, he could save himself with that short game. I just don't know if he can do it anymore. And especially around here, where if you miss it, even if you hit greens, if you're in the wrong spot on those greens, it's so difficult to two-putt. I just see him, making some sloppy doubles, some sloppy bogeys. We saw him make 2 triple bogeys at the PGA. I mean, that's just unfathomable. I mean, it's kind of tough to watch, really. So, and the fact now that you're telling me about the odds there, I didn't even know that. I would have to say that I would lean with him missing the cut once again and not be sticking around for the weekend. Hope I'm wrong. He won he accepted the Bob Jones Award last night, which is a big award from the USGA. He gave a tremendous speech. He's had 2 good finishes at Pinehurst. He never won here at the U.S. Open, but I just don't think it's going to be a long week for Tiger Woods, unfortunately.
In golf, this player or the field is always a stupid conversation outside of Tiger Woods in my lifetime. Now we've entered that territory for Scottie Scheffler. He is plus 300 to win the U.S. Open. Do you go Scottie or the field in this U.S. Open championship?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's a very tough call. I would lean towards the field, but only slightly. It'd be stupid to say that he's not the overwhelming favorite. I mean, he obviously is by the books, but I mean, just if you were picking someone, it would actually be, I would say it'd be stupid to pick anyone other than him if you weren't looking at odds. Now, I'm not going to bet on him again because, the number's just so ridiculous, but I do know people who are betting on him and putting just huge amounts, and it's not the craziest thing. I mean, again, because of the way this course is going to play, it's going to challenge these guys, all aspects of their game. And other than putting, you could probably make a case he's the best at all aspects of the game. So I think it gives him an even better chance to stand out from the competition, even versus other courses. So, again, a lot of things have to go your way. You have to make some putts. He's been making a good amount since March, since he's been winning. He's not the greatest putter, but as long as he's above average, he wins these tournaments. And you got to get some breaks. And this is going to be a little more like an Open Championship where you're going to get some, you miss a fairway and you're going to be out in this kind of waste area. It's not just a thick rough where you're going to have the same lie as everybody else. You could be in a bush. You could be in a clump of sand. You could have a perfect lie. So you're going to have to get some good breaks as well. He's going to have to avoid maybe some crazy, funky situations. I think you're going to see some guys, hitting balls that come back to their feet or over the green. You're going to have to avoid some of all that. But if he plays well, I think he not only would win, but win by a wide margin. That's the opportunity he has here as he continues on this historic march.
Let's say we take Scottie Scheffler out of it. You got to give me 3 names you're most confident in to win the U.S. Open. Who are those 3 names, Alex Myers?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to look at Xander, of course, after winning the major. He's playing so great. Like Scheffler, so consistent. Hasn't missed a cut in over 2 years. Brooks Koepka is sitting there at 22-1 with his pedigree at U.S. Opens, especially difficult U.S. Opens. I love that. And then you said 3. The 2 guys who I've actually bet on, and it's again the odds just are screaming at me. Cam Smith down at 50-1. An Aussie from the famous Sand Belt region where they play those great courses. This is the Sand Hills of North Carolina where all these tracks are. Very similar terrain that he's used to. Of course, we all remember him winning the Open at St. Andrews, that amazing 2-putt he had from off the green around the road hole bunker. You're going to need that kind of creativity around here. You're going to see guys putting it from well off the green. So I like Cam Smith. He loves this course. And then the other guy, Zach, 70-1 odds. The defending champion, Wyndham Clark. I know he missed the cut at the PGA, but what are we doing here? Like, this guy not only wins golf tournaments, he wins big tournaments. And if it weren't for Scottie Scheffler, he would have won Bay Hill and the Players. And he's the defending champ at the U.S. Open. He's got all the power and he's one of the best putters out there. I'm just stunned at him being 70-1 and the disrespect that the bookmakers are putting on Wyndham Clark.
2 odds that stand out to me. Hideki Matsuyama at 35-1, and then Zalatoris is at 100-1. What's your preview on those 2 going into this one?
Well, I love Hideki this week. Maybe I don't know if I'm going to bet him. I'm in a pool where you pick 2 guys. I had the 10th pick, and he was my 10th pick. So I do really like him. I think I'm going to bet him top 10. And his short game's much improved. We all know what a great iron player he is. Zalatoris, 100-1. It's tough not to throw a few bucks on him. But it's just the injuries in the back, and since he's come back and the putter and all that, he's shown the flashes, but nothing. He hasn't been able to consistently do it. So you could be buying incredibly low on Zalatoris. Last year he would have been, 20-1 probably. Sure. So in that regard, yeah, that's a crazy number. But of those 2, of course, I would lean on Matsuyama.
And then last thing I'll ask you, Alex Myers, DeChambeau. He was phenomenal at the PGA. That was your outright winner pick. I was with you as well on that, and we came close, but yet very so close. Far. How about DeChambeau, Big Bomber Bryson going into this one?
Yeah, so, normally a place like this that such a demand on the short game, I wouldn't love him. But again, you're going to see guys putting from all over, playing these like bump and run shots. I think that plays into his advantage. You go back to 2014, Martin Keimer won this event by 8 shots. He not only was a bad chipper, he had the chipping yips, and he was able to win a freaking U.S. Open because he was able to use his putter and kind of guide his way around. And I think you could see DeChambeau kind of do that as well. He's not an amazing putter, but he's a very good lag putter. And I think he might really benefit from that around the green. So, he's probably, if I were to name 6 guys, he'd be like my number 6, number 7 around there. So certainly a guy I'm interested and intrigued with, especially after the first 2 major showings from him this year have been very impressive.
He's Alex Myers, senior writer from Golf Digest. Alex, always appreciate when you're able to jump on board with us and preview these major championships.
You got it. Thanks for having me on. Enjoy the golf. Take care.
You got it. There he is, Alex Myers, who just had a hole-in-one. How about that? Joining us on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We will take a break. I got to ask Carlos with a K a question when we come on back. It's not about what he's stuffing his face with, but it's about a little bit of something that has to do with the baseball world. And I'd be curious how he would react to it, because I know Carlos is a big baseball fan. I'll tell you what we have cooking up when we return in 5 minutes on the Zach Gelb Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Fun continues on the Infinity Sports Network.
All righty, rocking and rolling. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Let's take you to St. Louis last night It is a matchup between the Pirates and the Cardinals. This is the sensation, the young pitcher, 22 years old, Paul Skenes, who is dating Livy Dunn, which if you're in the social media world and if you know about gymnastics, you know who Livy Dunn is. But this is Paul Skenes once again on the road in St. Louis, walking off the mound after pitching 6 1/3 of an inning, allowed 5 hits and 8 strikeouts. Here was the ovation he got. This is via Sportsnet Pittsburgh from the Cardinals fan.
We'll hand over the baseball, 103 pitches. He'll leave with a runner at second, 1 out.
Look at this, Greg.
Yeah,
we got
Cardinal fans giving him a standing ovation.
Incredible.
Now, here is Paul Skenes on the ovation from Cardinals fans.
Have done a great job. They treated us with class, and it's been a great experience. And a tough loss today, but it was a great ball game. Great ball game for fans to watch.
That was Paul Skenes? That was him? Samter?
That's what the slug said.
That does not sound like a 22-year-old. That's got to be the manager of the Pirates. Play me that one more time.
Have done a great job. They treated us with class, and it's been a great experience. And a tough loss today, but it was a great ball game. Great ball game for fans to watch.
That's no way that's Paul Skenes.
It might not be. Someone may have mislabeled the slug. I might have to go in and yell at somebody who cut some stuff in the highlight. It does say Paul Skenes cut 1 describes getting a standing ovation from fans.
And now hearing the context of that, they said we lost today, right? So that can't even be a member of the Pirates. There's no way. That's crazy.
That's 1,000% a bad job because the Pirates won.
Yeah, and also that's not Paul Skenes. To be fair, I've never heard Paul Skenes actually speak, but there is no way that is a 22-year-old. Play it again.
Have done a great job. They treated us with class, and it's been a great experience. And a tough loss today, but it was a great ball game. Great ball game for fans to watch.
I just saw who tagged it. If it's accurate, then it makes a lot of sense.
Oh, so now you want me to guess who was cutting up tape last night?
You won't be guessing long.
We were talking about food earlier. Is it someone that claims to be a very good chef?
Food is family.
So it was Jack Stern?
According to what I see here,
boy.
Unless someone was logged into his thing and he left it on, Jay Stern.
Gotcha. Is that the Cardinals manager? That, right?
I mean, he said they treated us well here.
Yeah,
so
that's why it's weird. But the Pirates, they won the game last night, right?
They won 2-1.
Yeah. So that. All right. You know what? Give it to me one more time.
Have done a great job. They treated us with class, and it's been a great experience. And a tough loss today, but it was a great ball game. Great ball game for fans to watch.
You are right, Samter. It does sound like it's someone on the Pirates, but we know the Pirates won the game. That's wild. That's really crazy. Do me a favor. Can you go get Ack? I got to trust Ack here because Ack hears these cuts all the time. I'll get to the segment in just a second, but we can't even cut the audio correctly here. And then someone gives me that I got to play Paul Skenes on the ovation from Cardinals fans. They got a 10-second. Oh, look how quickly, by the way, Samter was like, someone cut that up wrong. God forbid he listens to the clip before he puts it on a sheet in front of me. And I'll even take some accountability on that too. I didn't listen to the audio today before the show. I gave everyone the benefit of the doubt. But geez Louise, I wonder how many times on this network that someone has played something and ended up not being the person that they.
I would say easily
said.
once a week.
Yeah,
easly.
Are we getting Ack in or is Ack MIA?
Find.
Yeah. Yeah, turn your mic
I'm trying to. He's on his way, and I'm trying to find an actual Paul Skenes highlight or clip so I can hear what his voice actually sounds like. But it clearly is not him.
No, there's no way. If that's the case, Paul Skenes isn't 22; he's 52. Like, seriously, that guy sounds like an old man.
Yeah, but you know, though, I've heard people with young voices, young people with old man voices.
You're not dating Livy Dunn if you sound like that. All right?
You know what? If you are the number 1 overall pick and you're going to be potentially a historic potential level player.
Well, she's more famous than him.
Yeah, right now, but I mean, he's going to go down as one of the better pitchers that we've seen in a while.
Yeah, the sensation is off to an incredible start. There's no doubt about it. So, Ak, how many times have you thought that you were going to play something from someone on this network and it was cut up wrong?
Oh, yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, often.
This is not Paul. So on my sheet in front of me, we were talking about Paul Skenes getting the standing ovation from Cardinals fans last night in St. Louis. This cut is Paul Skenes on the ovation from Cardinals fans. Carlos, play it again.
Have done a great job. They treated us with class, and yeah, it's been a great experience. And a tough loss today, but it was a great ball game.
That's
great ball game for fans.
I could tell from the first second, but yes.
I'm playing it and I go, wait, they're talking about tough loss today. The Pirates won, and that guy sounds like he's at least 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
So that's wild.
The question:
who is it? Is it the Cardinals?
That's the game, and it becomes is who is and what is he saying?
I would think the Cardinals manager, but it sounds like they treat us well. But then you say you lost the game. I wonder how many days ago that clip is from.
I don't know.
I wonder if it even is a Cardinal or a Pirate.
So someone in the chat actually said it, and I think they're right. That's not even the right game. It sounds like Bruce Bochy.
You're right. That does sound like Bruce Bochy.
I was going to guess Rick Shelton for a previous game, but yeah, probably play it one more time.
They've done a great job. They treated us with class, and
I don't know.
That's been a great experience. And tough loss today, but it was a great ball game.
I want to see Rob Thompson from the London series.
Yeah, that could be a good one.
Let's see if we got another Rob Thompson in there somewhere.
I want to know who
this is. A game. Guess who is?
I don't want to call the person that cut this.
But I'm just saying.
I don't want to say rate them on here, but I like who actually.
Maybe they were just working quickly and not or the changes.
Obviously.
Are you a comparison? Like, we'll check Rob Thompson. All right, so this is Rob Thompson from Sunday talking about playing in London. Let's see if the voices match up.
Have done a great job. They treated us with class.
Oh my God! It's the same damn
tough loss. It was a great ball game for fans to watch.
So this wasn't even a Pirate or a Cardinal.
Oh. And there's a cut. It was 4 days old. It was a 4-day-old cut.
You know what? I'm putting this on management.
I'm trying to figure out how that could happen.
I'm putting this on management. That can't be in the system. It just can't. I'm going right to the top. Meredith, if he's in the back office, I'm coming to find you during this break. We have a Rob Thompson cut, and it's labeled as Paul Skenes. This dude is a sensation. He's getting an ovation on the road. We want to do this as a topic. They're going to get Pinball Skenes sound, and because off Jack Stern can't get the audio correctly, now we got Stern. And it's not even a player. It's a manager. Not even between the two damn teams.
Not even in this country.
I would have said.
Oh yeah, it's London.
Yes. I would have said it can happen again. Maybe that using a different flood from previous, you're just changing it. The changes didn't take for some reason, but I'm not sure how one got to the other.
So that was right after the second Met-Philly game. That's when that was after. So we're talking on Sunday. Monday, Tuesday happened. The game happens last night. You think you're putting it from Tuesday to play for Wednesday, but it's from Sunday from across the pond. You know, the DJ Hackerton system, he's on the congratulations, DJ, by the way, congratulations to him. But the Hackerton system just as brutal as he's enjoyed himself on his vacation. Now, I want to ask this, Carlos, to you, actually. And before my antenna went up, and I'm like, playing down, but that's clearly not a 22-year-old in Paul Skenes. You are a fan of the NL Central, right? You're a fan of the Chicago Cubs. If the Pirates came to town with Paul Skenes, who is an attraction, you want to watch him, he's phenomenal. But would you get up and would you cheer him after 6 1/3 when he dominated your team?
Absolutely not. Couldn't happen to a worse fan base. What a bunch of frauds. You're losing the game. That is an opponent, and you're going to stand up and applaud him. Yes, I agree. I get it. Phenomenal start to his career. He's got $9 million in the bank. Got a Livy Dunn. He does not need your applause. You boo him, and you boo him unmercifully.
Now, I know the St. Louis fan is a very nice, knowledgeable fan, but is this just a participation trophy like society now that we just have to praise everybody? It's okay in sports. There is an enemy. There's an opponent. I understand respecting your opponent. Hey, kid did a good job, but the whole stadium standing up and giving him a damn standing ovation? I'm sorry. That's as bad of a look as Jack Stern cutting tape, if I'm being honest.
I love it. I think it's amazing. And this is why Cardinals fans have one of the best reputations in all of sports.
Are you kidding me?
I think it shows respect for an opponent that
NL Central. This would be like the Blue Jays coming to town. A Blue Jay player is a phenom, and you get up as a Yankee fan giving him a standing ovation. That would never happen in New York.
See, but that's the thing. That's
and
why
a career different. This guy's just started his career. Give him some tough love.
You know, someone comes into your town with all the hype and he shows out the way he did. You show him respect. That I thought was a beautiful moment. By the way, do you want to hear Paul Skenes actually after the game talking about the standing ovation?
Because I know about Paul Skenes a lot. I even wanted to try to get him to the show a little while ago. One of my best friends, I'm in a crazy fantasy baseball league, and he picked him in the draft this year. And, you know, I picked Scooball a few years ago in a trade, and I've kept him. So we've been going back and forth who's going to end up being the better player. But let me hear what Paul Skenes actually sounds like.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't really notice it in the moment. I got a text about it, and like looking back, I realized what happened. So it was cool. They're cool fans. It was nice. I had no idea how many pitches I was at. Just focusing on executing. I know the first few innings were kind of quicker.
And then give me what Paul Skenes one more time was labeled as in the system.
Have done a great job. They treated us with class, and yeah, it's been a great experience. And you know, a tough loss today, but it was a great ball game. Great ball game for fans to watch.
So that was Rob Thompson, the Phillies manager. Rob Thompson, by the way, is 60 years old. I told you, that sounds like a 50, 60-year-old man, not a 22-year-old.
I'm very proud of myself that I got it.
Excellent job,
Thank you. I figured it out.
Serious. You know what? I'm going to be like the Cardinals fan. I'm giving you a standing ovation. Good job, that ass. Jeez Louise. Rob Thompson labeled as Paul Skenes in the system for a clip on Sunday.
Might just be something to mess with the anchors, you know. Let's see if you can figure out if it's right or not.
I hate to say it, considering whose sources have been too many errors here. Too many. It's like Gleyber Torres at second base. You keep on messing it up, you keep on moving the ball away, you're just the bad fielder.
I have to say, every time I listen to Terry Halliburton, I'm like, wait, somebody
Jones.
Yes, did somebody just something here? And then you realize.
But at least that's so different. This is a 22-year-old and a 60-year-old. They sound nothing alike.
Yes.
All righty. Bart Winkler will join us on the other side. Hopefully they will fix the audio by the time Bart's on the air at 10 p.m. Eastern time. And when we actually put a phenom like Paul Skenes in the system, it's actually Paul Skenes and not Rob Thompson. Update time. Here is a man, and that's why I wanted to bring him in, because I knew he would somehow know who this voice is. He plays a lot of audio on this network. Hopefully it's actually coming from the people we claim it is. The Act Man, Rich.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
Well, Jerry West had an incredible impact on the NBA over the last 7 decades. Perhaps one of the most legendary sports figures in history has died at the age of 86. He was a 3-time Hall of Famer. West's accolades as a player are as good as it gets. He was the 1959 most outstanding player at the Final Four before winning a gold medal at the 1960 Summer Olympics. West then lifted the Lakers when they arrived in Los Angeles in 1960 and spent all 14 of his NBA seasons in the purple and gold. He was an all-star in every one of those years. He also won a scoring title and led the league in assists separately, was a 4-time first-team all-defensive player. West Lakers teams went to the finals 7 times before finally getting that elusive title in 1972. The only one he'd win as a player. He'd get 8 more rings as an executive, leading to another Hall of Fame selection, and a third came as part of that 1960 Summer Olympic team. The man known as the league logo will be remembered before Game 3 of the NBA Finals tonight. The Celtics currently hold a 2-0 series lead over the Mavericks. Baseball today, the Twins have opened up their lead to 14-8 over the Rockies, bottom of the 8th. It's the Astros the Astros trail the Giants 2-1, bottom 4. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Hey, sports fans, it's Jim Rome. Check us out 24/7 on your local affiliate or the Odyssey app.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's an epic battle for the Infinity Sports Network. Zach.
Lethargic, putrid, pathetic. Quitters. They're quitters. What a joke.
Bart.
Something fun to talk about. That's what we do here. It's like, hey, guys, it's like we're just hanging out at a bar talking sports.
It's time for Winkler Wednesday. Only on the Zach Gelb Show.
All right, it is Winkler Wednesday, only on the Zach Gelb Show. Let's go out to the man that hosts the very popular Bart Winkler Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network, weeknights from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern Time. Bart, how are we, my friend?
Dragging a little bit today. I've been on this weird
stretch where I either get like 11 hours of sleep,
or I get
if I sleep through my kid going to daycare, I can coast till lunch.
If you drink yourself to sleep, maybe you get 11
No,
hours.
not on the weekdays.
Oh, okay.
Or I get like 3.5 hours of sleep. So I'm on that one. So I need a really good game 3 tonight to carry me through my show, I think.
Out of all of our hosts in the Monday through Friday lineup, I think this is an accurate statement, but if it's not, I'm going to pretend like it's accurate. You are the authoritative voice on the NL Central, you being a Brewers fan. What did you make of Paul Skenes getting a standing ovation as a Pittsburgh Pirate in St. Louis last night by the Cardinals faithful?
So I was trying to think of when I would ever applaud another team's starting pitcher. And I think the first and only thing I would think of is a no-hitter. But even then, if they had a no-hitter against my team that I root for, I'd respect it, but I'm not going to get up and applaud it. I think
that's fair, though. Like, perfect game, no-hitter.
People might. I would be more inclined to do it if it was like 8 1/3. And they had a really good effort. But
and you break it up.
Yeah, but oh my God, thank God we didn't get no hit. Skenes, and this is a divisional game, and their records are basically the same. He pitched 6 1/3, struck out 8, but had 5 hits. Like
it's a good start, don't get me wrong, but it's not as if this is one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
There's one of those kind of starts every night in baseball. And Miles Michaelis had a better start than him. He had 7 innings and just gave up 1 hit and struck out 5 dudes. And so it was weird. I don't get it. I know like Skenes is the young up and coming talent, but it's just weird. It's almost like every Cardinal fan was on a giant text chain and they were like, let's show how cool we are. But it made them look lame. Very lame. Very, very lame.
I think we just live in a soft society right now. Like, I hate to be that guy that is soft society guy. And I could acknowledge appreciating. I don't think it needs to have so much vitriol. Every night someone does something in sports, you're like, bleep this person or bleep you for liking this team or hating on this guy. But like you said, 6 1/3, first time they've seen him in person. I could understand appreciating it, but that leading to an entire stadium giving him a standing ovation, I've never seen anything like that. The only time I think that would be acceptable, like you said, perfect game, no hitter. Okay, I could at least understand it because it's history and that's such a rare thing to be an occurrence for. If it's a guy that's been around, legendary status or big in the rivalry, it's his last season and he's walking off the mound and that's probably the last time that you're going to probably see him. So like kind of a tip of the cap. Thanks, even though we were rivals, but thanks for being part of a rivalry for so many years.
Or if Skenes was a former Cardinal or if he was from the greater St. Louis area. There are, if you really want to like break it down, a lot of acceptable reasons why you would give a guy a standing ovation for the other team. 6 1/3 and 5 hits and 8 Ks is not one of them. It was very strange and very weird. And I'm glad that people are making fun of St. Louis for it because they deserve it.
Bart Winkler here with us. Let's go to the NBA Finals. At 2-0, injuries playing a storyline. Luka clearly not 100%. Who knows if Kristaps Porzingis is going to play another game in this series. Kyrie no-showed in Boston the first 2 games. Jayson Tatum hasn't done much in terms of scoring the basketball. Obviously, we know what he's done assisting the basketball. Where are you at with these NBA Finals as Boston is up 2 games to none as we have game 3 tonight?
I'm still on my original Boston in 6. I do think that Kyrie and Luka will figure it out enough over the course of a series to get some wins. They obviously need to win tonight for that to happen. Otherwise, they're not coming back. I liked what Jason Kidd did, even though it was very transparent, talking about how Jaylen Brown's their best player, because they're not better than Boston, and I don't think straight up they can beat Boston. So I think you need to try to break Boston down mentally. And since it seems like they aren't that team anymore, I think the Pacers series proved that they can win the kind of series that they weren't able to in the past. I wanted Jason Kidd to come out, and there's still time, but I want him to come out and say, Luka's playing so well, and we need him. And he could
MVP.
He could be the MVP even if we lose, and get the Celtics. Because what's more interesting right now, them coming back, the Mavs, or who's going to be the Finals MVP?
So I want to just respond off your comment about Kidd, because I feel like I'm on an island with this one. In game one, where he was basically begging to his team, guys, just have fun. I was like, oh boy, he knows his team is cooked. Then after game one, when he said those comments that he said that, oh, we all know Brown's their best player, everyone had your take, which is, oh, they're playing mind games. How is that? Like, do people really think that's going to break the Boston Celtics? Because we know that the best player in the Celtics is Jayson Tatum, and then people are going to have a conversation about that. Like, if that breaks the Celtics are as soft as those St. Louis Cardinals fans last night for applauding Paul Skenes. I thought that was a great overreaction.
I think that's what we think of Tatum. My buddy always tells me, and he's really mad about this. I'll use his line, that this guy is trying to cosplay as Kobe Bryant so bad by just shooting, 25, 30 shots a game. And then his team's good enough where he can bail him out. And then after game two, everyone's like, oh, Tatum had a bad shooting night. But he did other things. Like, we're all rushing. We want to kind of tear him down, but they were rushing to defend him. Like, no, Tatum's shooting terrible. His NBA Finals career numbers are terrible. I think I saw they're on par to like Ben Simmons' career shooting percentage. Him in the finals, it's terrible. He can't shoot 6 for 23 and win the MVP. And you know, he wants the MVP. You know, he wants to recreate the Kobe locker room jacket pose. Mm-hmm. You know he does.
Jayson Tatum actually,
I would do exactly what Kidd's doing.
Jayson Tatum may be the most polarizing player that shouldn't be polarizing. Like, it is amazing how many people don't want to say he's a great player, and then how many people, like you say, also rush to his defense. It seems like 50% of the people love him, 50% of the people hate him, and I don't get, outside of the fact that he just plays for the Boston Celtics and people hate the Boston Celtics, I don't get he actually hate this guy. Like, he's not polarized. He shouldn't be polarizing. It's not like he says anything crazy. The guy seems like he's a good teammate. He overachieved early in the league. Then the team started to underachieve. And it's their time to win a championship. I kind of hope Tatum tonight, and I would like to see the Mavs win so we could have the series, but I kind of hope Tatum puts 35 up and the Celtics go up 3-0 so he could finally get his moment. Because I feel like the criticism has been too severe at times, and then people rushing to his defense also defend him also seems unnecessary at times, like we were talking about.
Well, people, like, nobody outside of New England likes Boston. Nobody likes him. They don't like him. I see a lot of Celtics, either bloggers, podcasters, media, fanboys, whatever, being like, how come nobody was saying that? Well, we all knew you're good. We just don't care because we don't like you. And the thing with Tatum is the NBA has rolled out this carpet for him. Every broadcast that covers him is worshiping this guy because he, has a kid? I mean, I don't know. Well, why do we celebrate this guy? I'm so happy Doris Burke. I'm so happy Doris Burke is calling a finals. Oh, what a great achievement. But for her to call her first finals, and it's got to be Jayson Tatum, who she clearly loves.
Well, at least she criticized him. In that game, in game two, when he had 0 points in the first quarter, Breen eventually mentioned it. But Redick and Burke were silent on it, and Redick isn't going to say anything critical about anyone unless you're a coach. He's never going to criticize these players. At least Doris Burke said in the second quarter he's got to get going. I know the standard's low. And how about that halftime? Like, they pay those guys all those money, the halftime show, and they did, 1 minute and 40 seconds of analysis, which I actually thought was a fun conversation. They go to break, they come on back, they put a highlight up there for 10 seconds. You have Bob Myers not even on camera say something, they go right to break. What's the point of having a halftime show?
What's the point of having me on if we're not talking Aaron Rodgers? What the hell?
Oh, good point. Thank you. I almost forgot about that. What's your take on Aaron Rodgers?
He's a dork. and it's not like it's not a big deal that he missed a practice. It's not a big deal. But it's Aaron Rodgers living by Aaron Rodgers rules, and then he's going to have some weird manipulative thing coming back where, oh, my event's personal, and what I was actually doing was I was feeding geese at the park and, serving 100 Make-A-Wish requests. And, I also, stump speech for a candidate and went to do a podcast, and I was baked off my mind. But, you can't judge me.
I have no issue with the whole thing. The Jets' offensive line needs to stay healthy, and Rodgers needs to stay healthy. If they can stay healthy, they could have a successful season. I think this is a gross overreaction.
They'll be bad.
What's the official prediction? The Jets will do what this year? What's their record? How many wins?
9 at the most.
Okay. So you're going 9-8, they missed the playoffs? Is that what you're saying?
I think they'll be 8-9.
Okay. 8-9, they'll miss the playoffs. And what is the Packers win total going to be this year?
How long's the season?
18 games.
How many games? 18? 17? 17-0.
17-0.
Packers will win 11.
Yeah. Well, 18 weeks, sorry. 17 because you do have the bye week. So you think they're going to be 17-0. Is that correct? How about 14?
They'll win 17 games because they'll win 14 in the regular season and 3 in the play.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
He is Bart Winkler. I never would say this in my life. No, I can't say it. I was about to say I'm kind of rooting for the Jets to do well this year, but I can't go that.
You're not. You can't. You don't.
Nope. Won't do it. Tim Brown will join us next. Bart, thanks so much. Coming on back. It is the Zach Gelb Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
All righty, rocking and rolling. Hour number 3 of our radio program. That's right, it is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on the Infinity Sports Network. We got a whole lot to do in this hour before we say goodbye to you. You have Game 3 of the NBA Finals later this evening. Will the Dallas Mavericks show a pulse? And will they find a way to get Game 3 to make this a series? Or will we see Jayson Tatum show up and have a big point production game and take a 3-0 series lead and inch the Celtics closer and closer to raising banner number 18. So we'll talk more about the NBA Finals before we do get off the air at the top of the hour. And we got some football in the news as well with Aaron Rodgers not attending Jets minicamp. I think the story is kind of blown out of proportion. He had something that I guess he scheduled, and everyone's freaking out because there's not a lot to really talk about right now in the sports world. So we'll see what does transpire with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, as everyone's been opining their opinions on the gangrene quarterback, with him obviously right at the forefront of potentially being the comeback player of the year. And I would say he's the first guy I think of when you're talking about comeback player of the year this season, and how it was such a big storyline with Aaron Rodgers the last 3-4 years, and when he was going to leave Green Bay and all of that. And then he finally does leave Green Bay, finds a new home with the New York Jets, and then a few plays into the season had the unfortunate Achilles injury. Jets, they have revamped their offensive line. I don't know how much better they're going to be. Those guys need to be healthy first and foremost. But you look at the offensive line, and then you look at Aaron Rodgers at the quarterback, and if those two guys could stay healthy, sure, the AFC East is loaded. We'll get into that conversation later on who's going to win the AFC East. But the AFC East is loaded. Not only the AFC East, the entire AFC is loaded, as it's just really, really crowded right now in the NFL, especially in the AFC. By the way, the 35th annual Championship of Celebrity Golf is about to get underway. The tournament has raised almost $8 million for charity. You could watch it with coverage on the Golf Channel, Peacock, and NBC from July 12th to July 14th, so in a month from now. $750,000 in prize money is at stake. Galleries of up to 50,000 people are expected again to attend. And you could check out the American Century Fantasy Golf Contest at accfantasygolf.com. The Hall of Famer, the Heisman Trophy winner, Tim Brown, is kind enough to join us right now on the Zach Gelb Show. Tim, always appreciate when you jump on board with us. Thanks for doing this, and how you been, my friend?
I'm good, Zach. And I heard you talk about that money. I just wish I was playing for the big prize. I'm going to be playing for the little prize, Zach.
How's your golf game, by the way? You good golfer these days still?
Oh, God. It's all over the place, man. One day I can putt, the next day I can't, So I'm getting all kinds of help, man. But hopefully you'll be ready when I tee it up in about 3 weeks.
Yeah, so we'll get back to the golf tournament in just a bit. Let me start you off with your Raiders. Last year, Antonio Pierce did take over, did a nice job. We were wondering if he was going to get the full-time gig. Clearly, he has now. Your thoughts on Antonio Pierce and what he could do this season going into his first full season as the head coach of the Raiders?
Well, look, the one thing we do know is that this team is going to they're going to play tough, hard football. And what that means as far as wins, I don't know. But I think watching them play the last 7-8 games of the year, it was quite intriguing, man, because you saw a football team that was really, getting after it, trying their best to win games, man. And really, that's all you could ask for, man. And I think that we're going to see a lot more of that. And hopefully, the young quarterback or whoever's going to play that position is going to be able to take the next step.
Yeah, it feels like the quarterback of the future is not on the roster. I know Aiden O'Connell got some time last year. We'll see if he's a starter this year or if it's going to be Gardner Minshew. Do you have a preference, one or the other, to start week 1 for the Raiders?
Well, I think that because Gardner is used to coming off the bench and, that's sort of been his career, that they may give the young kid a chance first to go out there to see what he can do for a couple of games. And if he can't handle it, then they know what they have in Gardner, and they'll go with him. So that's what I see, but I have no idea what they're going to do for sure.
You look at the Raiders, obviously it was positive in the offseason, making Antonio Pierce the head coach, Davante Adams staying with the team. There was always some rumors about if he was maybe going to force his way out of the organization. Josh Jacobs, who was a really good Raider for a while, now off to Green Bay. Definitely disappointing, I would have to imagine, to see him depart the silver and black.
Yeah, it was, no doubt about it, but I saw that come in the last couple of games of the year. He didn't play, and the running game didn't suffer, and that's never a good situation to be in. If you're not there, you don't want that guy behind you. If he plays well, it's a problem. And with all the contract issues they've had with him, it's sad to see him go because he's a great player. But, in today's football, the way they value running backs, you're really not surprised about it.
Yeah, and in one breath, right, the running backs, that's always been at the forefront of the conversation, how they're not getting paid enough. Wide receivers, Tim, I think you wish you played nowadays, right? The price is just booming for these guys.
Boy, it's unreal, man. It's really unreal. I got a young cousin who's up on all this stuff, man. And he knows everybody's contracts, and he wants to keep running them by me. It's like, bro, I don't need to see this stuff. All right, I'm good.
and usually it'd be like one 1,000-yard wide receiver. Now a bunch of these teams have 2 1,000-yard wide receivers.
Yeah, well, the way they're throwing the ball around and the new rules on defense and everything, why not throw the ball 40 times a game? Because guys can't get hit for the most part, and and all the rules as far as covering is very, very favorable for the receivers. So it's a very, Jerry and I almost did it back in 2000, 2001, whatever. I think I had 900 some yards and he was over 1,000. But to do it in today's football, if you don't have that, probably means that you have a very antiquated offense.
And you always wonder, right, like when you were playing, how would the egos mesh because they weren't throwing the ball as much? That's still a concern now, but with how much they're throwing, I don't think it's a big concern to have 2 big-time wide receivers. They're both going to get their touches.
No doubt about it. Especially if you have guys who play the game differently. Like Jerry and I, we played the game totally different, right? I was the guy in the middle bouncing off of linebackers and safeties, and he was out there with his long, pretty towel catching all the easy passes. That's why I used to tell him all the time. So, I think if you have guys who are willing to work with each other and play this game at the highest level, man, you can do it forever.
Clearly, Josh McDaniels and the Raiders were very toxic. Ever since Davante Adams got there and then Carr departed, there's always been this question of, will Davante Adams still want to be a Raider? I know he's all in now, but after this season, he has 2 years left on the contract. There's uncertainty on the quarterback spot right now. Do you feel like Davante Adams is here for the next few years, or is there a chance after this season he forces his way out?
Boy, I tell you, I think things would have to go really, really bad for that to happen. I think being that this is a team he, dreamt and planned for, to have this opportunity and to give it up, for what reason? You never guarantee that you can go to anybody's team and you don't know what's going to happen. So something really, really bad would have to happen for that to have, for him to make that decision. And I just don't see that happening at this particular point.
Now let me get to the defensive side of the ball with your Raiders. Max Crosby. We all know he's great, but I feel like he still deserves more attention. What do you see in him as a football player? Because he's phenomenal.
Yeah, I said to him, I think on Twitter or something that, man, this is why you have to be in the playoffs. Because the year you had, you should have been, 1 or 2 for defensive player of the year. But, they're looking for these guys who are playing extra weeks, man. And, it's all a part of it. I know they say they're not, but let's be real about it, right? So I think from that standpoint, man, this guy, I hope he can just keep this thing going because if he can, man, when it's all done, he'll be sitting next to me up in Canton with that gold jacket for sure.
And I'll tell you, inside that division, I think it's fascinating because we know the Chiefs are the kings, right? Back-to-back Super Bowl championships. But you look at fighting for that 2 spot. Chargers now bringing in Harbaugh. You have Herbert. The Broncos now, second year with Sean Payton. They just drafted Bo Nix, 12th overall in the draft. And then you have the Raiders, who we think have their head coach in Antonio Pierce, but still need a quarterback. I think that's going to be a fascinating race this year to see who's going to be able to snag that 2nd spot in the division.
Well, no doubt about it. And the Raiders think that they have the answer to Mahomes, so we'll see about that. They were the last team to beat them before they went on their run to win the Super Bowl. So they're not going to be fighting for second. They're going to be fighting for number 1 for sure. But I hear what you're saying because you can't. When you look at the Chiefs, you got to be realistic about what's ahead when you face them. But it's going to be look. I always thought the AFC West was the best division in football, back in, going back to '88. So, I don't think really anything has changed. I think now it's to the point where you have 4 good teams that are going to be going after each other.
You're in that Heisman fraternity, being a Heisman Trophy winner. To finally see Reggie Bush get his trophy back, what did that mean to you?
It meant a lot, I think we always referred to him as a Heisman Trophy winner when we had that opportunity. But I think for him to actually have the trophy back is a great thing. And I don't know how much the NCAA had to do with that or the Heisman bus or whoever it was, but whoever it was, they did the right thing.
We will talk about the ACCFantasyGolf.com where you can find out more information in just a second. But before we talk about the golf tournament, I have to ask you, Aaron Rodgers, the last 2 days, he told the Jets a while ago he wasn't showing up for mandatory mini camps. He had some trip planned. People are freaking out, especially with the New York media market. I look at this. I think it's really a non-story. Show up when the season starts. Make sure your offensive line's healthy. Make sure you're healthy. And we'll see what the Jets could do. How do you react to all the coverage about Rodgers recently?
Well, being that he's the quarterback, the one guy who probably needs to be there is the quarterback, because that's the guy that everybody's going to rally around. And without him, today's NFL is all about the quarterback, right? And I think that for him not to be there in a mandatory, I didn't know it was mandatory. I thought it was just a camp. But for him to miss a mandatory camp, that's a pretty big deal, no doubt about it. But, hey, it's a different era, man. You know what I mean? That would have never happened 20 years ago. So, but these guys, man, they have more latitude than we can ever dream of. We could ever dream of it back in the day.
So that would annoy you if you were a teammate of his, that he didn't show up and I guess he's on vacation or doing something?
Unless he was having a surgery or something was sick, somebody, mama, daddy, if there's an issue, then that's different. But a vacation, man, that would be, for my quarterback, that would be a tough deal. A mandatory camp, voluntary camps, I get it. I never went to voluntary camps. I guess when a new coach came, I had to go. But other than that, I never went to a voluntary camp. So I only showed up one time during the off season. But what that week is. You should be able to plan around that for sure.
And last thing I'll ask you, just with the Jets, what do you kind of think they're going to do this year if Aaron could stay healthy?
Look, if he could stay healthy, man, they have talent. They have talent at the running back position, at the receiver position. So, I mean, if he's healthy, I mean, this is a threat, in the AFC East, no doubt about it. So, anytime you have a guy who can sling the ball, you got a chance to win.
Tell me about what you got cooking here coming off of this big golf tournament in July.
Yeah, it's going to be great, man. I think this is my 22nd year playing in the tournament. And, if I can ever put 3 days together, I may be okay. But for some reason, I always have that one day where I act like I can't play golf. But it's going to be a fun event, and it's an event that we all look forward to for sure.
Well, we got the U.S. Open this weekend, the third golf major championship of the year. We had Alex Myers on, who's a writer for Golf Digest, and he just had a hole-in-one about 48 hours ago. Have you ever hit a hole-in-one or come close?
No, I have 4. Man.
Wow.
So I just I played Augusta about a month ago, and I had on the par 3 course, I had a hole-in-one there. So I got that's my plaque, man. My Hall of Fame plaque right there. I mean, my Augusta plaque. So, yeah. So, it's, those things happen when you play golf, right?
I don't know. I would love to have a hole-in-one, Tim. You have 4? Are you serious? You have 4 hole-in-ones?
Yeah. I had one at TPC Sawgrass a couple of years ago on the island hole. So my name and everything is up there on the plaque. So, yeah, but before that, it was 22 years ago before I'd have one. So, I didn't have another 22 years to wait for sure.
So we know you won a Heisman. We know you're a Hall of Famer in football. You have 4 hole-in-ones. Is there any sport you just suck at?
Maybe tennis, man. I tried tennis when I was younger, but I wasn't that good at tennis. So.
Make sure you check out Tim Brown, the Hall of Famer in this great golf tournament, the 35th Annual Championship of Celebrity Golf. More information, ACCFantasyGolf.com. Tim, thanks for doing this. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate the time.
There he is, the Hall of Famer, Tim Brown, joining us. I want to react to what he said about Aaron Rodgers when we come on back, and also who's going to win the AFC East for this upcoming year. So we'll do more of that when we return in 5 minutes.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
Yo, Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. What's the most impressive thing? Is it winning the Heisman? Is it being a Pro Football Hall of Famer? Or is it hitting 4 hole-in-ones in your life when you're known for being a great football player? Because Tim Brown just told us in the last segment that he has hit 4 hole-in-ones in his life. So, Samter, what's the most important out of what is the most impressive out of that? Heisman, being a Hall of Famer in football, or is it 4 hole-in-ones?
I'm going to go Heisman. There's one Heisman Trophy winner a year. Mm-hmm. There's usually 3 to 5 4 to 5 Hall of Famers announced every year. Plus
5 on the modern
plus
era.
Veterans Committee and all that kind of stuff. So the odds of being a Heisman Trophy winner are smaller than anything else. If he's been playing golf for 40 years, 4 hole-in-ones is insanely impressive, but he's had 40 years to craft that. And like my dad has a hole-in-one, and
okay, but he doesn't.
My dad doesn't
4.
have a Heisman.
He doesn't have 4 though.
No. 4 is pretty damn impressive. Is there anything this guy can't do?
Hey, he's what did he say he wasn't good at? There's one sport. Tennis. He said he wasn't good at tennis. So he probably could smoke all of us if we got on the tennis court, though. Carlos, what's your answer on that one?
Oh, no question. It's the Hall of Fame career. I mean, it's a big body of work over a course of several years. The Heisman's, listen, you can have one really, really good season and win the award. So give me the larger sample size. I don't give one bleep about the hole-in-one.
Why?
None. 0. They could play the Masters in my backyard. I'm not tuning in. I'm not a golf dude.
Oh, but 4 hole-in-ones.
Oh, but other than your buddies that you're playing with, who cares? I care when a Hall of Famer walks into the room. You think I cared if some schmuck comes in with like 6 hole-in-ones? No.
If I ever hit a hole-in-one, I came close. It was 2 feet or 3 feet from the hole. And then, yes, I did hit the birdie putt on a par 3. But if I ever hit 1 hole-in-one, I would retire from the sport of golf. I suck at golf, and I keep on playing. I know people would say, no, you finish out the round because of your score. I know I'm going to put the next shot in the water or the next shot in the woods. If I hit a hole-in-one, I am immediately picking up the golf ball, walking off the course, and I'm throwing a freaking fiesta. I'm throwing the craziest party ever. I am getting as drunk as a skunk if I ever get to hit a hole-in-one. You know what, Carlos? You could go like this. Like, you could yawn. Give me a break. I'd like to see your ass get out there on the golf course and try to hit a hole-in-one.
I'm not saying that I can't. I don't think it's overly impressive if you've already won a Heisman in the Hall of Fame. I don't think it's that impressive.
Okay. A hole-in-one is impressive. You get lucky, right? To get one hole-in-one. 4 times? 4 times? I think it's the hole-in-one. Anyway, let me play you back Tim Brown. This is the Hall of Famer with us talking about Aaron Rodgers missing mandatory minicamp.
Being that he's the quarterback, the one guy who probably needs to be there is the quarterback, because that's the guy that everybody's going to rally around. And without him, today's NFL, it's all about the quarterback, right? And I think that for him not to be there in a mandatory, I didn't know it was mandatory. I thought it was just a camp. But for him to miss a mandatory camp, that's a pretty big deal. No doubt about it. But, hey, it's a different era, man. You know what I mean? That would have never happened 20 years ago. So, but these guys, man, they have more latitude than we can ever dream of. We could ever dream of that back in the day.
So that would annoy you if you were a teammate of his, that he didn't show up and I guess he's on vacation or doing something?
Unless he was having a surgery or something was sick, somebody, mama, daddy, if there's an issue, then that's different. But a vacation, man, that would be, for my quarterback, that would be a tough deal. A mandatory camp, voluntary camps, I get it. I never went to voluntary camps. I guess when a new coach came, I had to go. But other than that, I never went to a voluntary camp. So I only showed up one time during the off season. But you know what that week is. You should be able to plan around that for sure.
So let me just ask this. I don't have a problem with Aaron Rodgers missing this. Clearly, he communicated it with the team. I just saw from Adam Schefter that Saleh spoke again. I thought Saleh was wrong yesterday because if he really didn't have a problem with it, he should have just said that instead of getting up to the podium and saying, hey, it's an unexcused absence and it's something that's very important to him. When you say it's something that's very important to him, that implies that it's not important to you. Because there's a way to dress this up and make it seem like it's not a big deal, and Saleh left that open for interpretation. Now, Saleh wouldn't have a job as a head coach still if it wasn't for Aaron Rodgers, but Saleh had to talk about this again today, and he said, Aaron and I are on the same exact page. There's no issue between Aaron or his teammates for that matter. We addressed it. It's more of an issue for everyone outside of the building than it is inside. So let's just go around the room here real quickly. Will the Jets make the playoffs this year? Yes or no? Will they be one of the 7 teams in the playoffs when the AFC does start their postseason in the early part of January? Carlos, I'll start with you.
No.
Samter, yes or no? Jets playoff team.
Yes.
Oh, I feel like you've been flip-flopping with the Jets this year.
Yeah, no, I'm really down on the Bills. I think that the Jets finished second in that division. I think it goes Dolphins, Jets, Bills this year.
Okay, so you're the Dolphins winning that division.
Yes.
Right now, I have the Jets as a playoff team, but I have them as a wild card team. I think Buffalo's going to win this division again because I took the bait last year thinking that Buffalo was going to fall off in that division, and I picked Miami. I did what Samter is doing this year. I did this last year. I picked Miami. You got Tyreek Hill. You got Jalen Waddle. I thought Tua Tagovailoa a season ago was going to stay healthy. He did. And Miami was leading that division for most of the season. And in big games, they gagged those big games, especially at the end of the year when they played Buffalo in Miami and Josh Allen was trying to give them the game and they couldn't capitalize. I think the Dolphins are in that spot of just being a good team, and good teams can win a division. But until someone takes the baton from Buffalo, even though they just lost Stephon Diggs, but they still have Dalton Kincaid. They got James Cook. They drafted Keon Coleman. And then you also have Josh Allen still as your quarterback. And I know that they lost some other pieces too. I'm going to pick the Bills to win this division until they don't. I changed on that last year. I took Miami, and it ended up not working out. So Samter goes, Jets make the playoffs, but they're a wild card team. And you have them finishing second in that division. Carlos goes, the Jets will miss the playoffs. And I have the Jets making the playoffs for now. And I do have the Jets. Where do they finish in that division? I'm going to say I'll say they finished second in the division right now. And I'll put Miami in at third. You could have 3 AFC East teams that make the playoffs. The Patriots have no shot. But the AFC right now, there's 3 potential playoff teams in the AFC East. In the AFC North, all 4 of them can make it. In the AFC South, I think there's 3 teams that could make it: the Texans, the Jaguars, and the Colts. Tennessee, they improved their roster, but I don't think they're ready to go make the playoffs. And then in the AFC West, obviously the Chiefs, and I guess you could say the Chargers just because of the Harbaugh curve, but I don't see the Raiders being a playoff team this year, and I don't see the Broncos being a playoff team. But you only get 7 spots. So, Carlos, you don't have the Jets making the playoffs, which is not a crazy thing. The Jets, we can all acknowledge the Jets have a very talented roster. They have a top 10, top 5 roster in the NFL. Not top 3. They don't have the best roster in the NFL like Samter was trying to claim. But they do have a very good roster.
I didn't say they had the best. I said that they're up there as one of the
they have a very good roster.
Top rosters in the NFL.
Yeah, their offensive line still concerns me because they're banking on those guys to be healthy. We know Breece Hall's phenomenal. We know Garrett Wilson is phenomenal. And their defense is very good. But it's not crazy to say the Jets are going to miss the playoffs. So, Carlos, you don't have the Jets making the playoffs.
Correct.
So who do you then have winning the AFC East?
I also agree with Samter. I believe it is going to be Miami. I am a little down on Buffalo, but not all the way down. Buffalo snags one of the wild card spots. Miami takes a division.
So you guys both have Miami winning the division. How far are you willing to go then with Miami? Like the Dolphins in 2024 are going to accomplish what outside of winning the AFC East? Like what round do you think they're going home in?
I think they go in the second round.
Oh, so they win a playoff game this year.
Win one playoff game, so a little bit better than last year, where they finished 11-6, but I still think they just need a little more to get over the hump.
And Samter, you have the Dolphins going how far this year in the NFL postseason?
Probably divisional, but I mean, like you said, there's so many good teams in the North. I mean, like if they go up against like the Bengals or the Steelers,
and also they don't have a good home field advantage. Like
Yeah.
I'm talking about like that crowd. Is anyone intimidated? Like you talk about going to Green Bay to go win a playoff game. That's tough. If Chicago had a playoff game, that would be tough. But Pittsburgh going in there and win a playoff game would be tough. Is anyone intimidated going into Miami to go win a playoff game? I understand it's hot, even in January in Miami. But is anyone going to be? Well, people will be sweating, but you'll be really sweating about going up against the Miami Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are a good team. I'm not saying it's impossible for them to win the division, but the two things is I don't trust Tua in the big game. Tua kind of reminds me a little bit like Dak. And then defensively, I got to see where those guys are going to be coming off injuries. Like, I love Jalen Phillips. I think Jalen Phillips is phenomenal, but he had that injury at the end of last season. Bradley Chubb got hurt later on in the season. So those guys coming off big injuries and being relied upon in a big-time way on the defensive side, because one of their better defensive players, Christian Wilkins, is now off to the Raiders. That's something where I look at it and I'm like, all right, the Dolphins' defense, it's not something that I'm in love with. Even with Sealer, on who I think is a tremendously underrated defensive lineman, like they got some players there, but you need Phillips and Chubb to be stars. And coming off injuries, I don't know how much stardom they're going to have with some of the rest that they're going to have to knock off. I think the Dolphins are like a fantasy football team. I really do. I think they'll put up a lot of points. I think they'll be flashy. There'll be moments that make you believe, but when push comes to shove, I don't think they're winning that AFC East. I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills. And if they make the playoffs, I think they're going to lose wild card weekend. So none of us think they're going to an AFC Championship game. None of us think they're going to Super Bowl. You guys who are pro-Dolphin are just saying, 11 wins, 10 wins, they win the AFC East, and then they win a wild card game and then are off. They're eliminated in the divisional round.
Exactly.
Okay, fair enough. It is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Come on back. We'll update you on some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio. We call that segment the News Brief. But first up with the latest Infinity Sports Network update, here he is, the Act Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Adam Silver called Jerry West a defining figure in our league. The man referred to as the league logo passed away at the age of 86. West's impact and accomplishments over 7 decades are extraordinary. As a player, he was the most outstanding player of the 1959 Final Four. He spent 14 seasons in the NBA, all with the Lakers, was an all-star in every one. His only misfortune was running into those great Celtics teams of the 60s, whom he could never get past, and his lone NBA championship as a player came in 1972 against the Knicks. The 1969 finals were bittersweet, with the Celtics beating the Lakers in 7, but West, playing despite injury, was named the series MVP, scoring 42 points in that deciding game as well as 53 in Game 1. He later had a Hall of Fame career as an executive, building 8 championship teams, and is also in Springfield for being part of that gold medal winning team in 1960. Of course, the finals continue tonight with Dallas looking to bounce back after dropping the first 2 games in Boston. Baseball today, Carlos Correa had 5 hits as the Rockies losing to Minnesota 17-9. The Brewers top the Blue Jays 5-4. Right now, it's the Giants 5, Astros 3, top 8. Padres in front of the A's 2-0, top 6. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Hey, sports fans. Andrew Perloff here on the Infinity Sports Network. Check us out 24/7 on SiriusXM Channel 158.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick. We're the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh, my God. We're back
It's time to answer Ask the Pros question of the day. It's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. CJ in Pittsburgh says, Zach, Russell Wilson the other day said he felt like he's found the fountain of youth in Pittsburgh. Do you believe in Russ for this upcoming year? You could submit a question by tweeting at INFSportsNet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag #AskThePros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. I don't believe in Deshaun Watson. In Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson is someone that was better than how Sean Payton tried to say and portray he was last year. But Russell Wilson, I think, is more focused on so many other things right now than football, where he got so caught up in the brand of Russell Wilson that I think it has significantly hampered his performance on the field. But he had that situation where he felt like it was time to leave Seattle. And he went to a place in Denver where his receivers weren't better. And at the end of year one, he did such a bad job relating to the locker room that they had to force players to basically speak out and support Russell Wilson. And last year he was fine, but the coach didn't like him. So I kind of look at Russell Wilson going to Pittsburgh where I think he will play fine. But is there really an excitement, even with the Steelers having a good roster? They tried to fix the offensive line. You know, you have the two running backs in Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris. Pickens is going to have a big season, you would anticipate. And their defense, if they could stay healthy, is one of the better defenses in the NFL with Watt and Highsmith. And you go on and on and on talking about their defense. But when I look at Russell Wilson, I'm almost in a spot where I kind of just want to see Justin Fields. You know, even though Russell Wilson has a chance to be a Hall of Famer, and he may be playing himself out of the Hall of Fame, but he has a Hall of Fame type of resume, I don't think Russell Wilson's ever going to get back to that form that we saw in Seattle. So if he's not going to get back to that form, you're looking at just maybe of an apex of being an above average, a good quarterback. For Justin Fields, there was a big sentiment in Chicago that his career wasn't successful because the Bears messed him up. And what the Bears failed to do for Caleb Williams, or what they're doing right now for Caleb Williams, they failed to do for Justin Fields. Now, I don't know if Fields is going to be great, but he's in a good position right now in Pittsburgh. But is he ever going to get a chance to start? It kind of mirrors, even though they're different. Like, I think Kirk Cousins is going to have a very good season for the Falcons. But even though I like Kirk Cousins, I think he's a good, solid quarterback. Not great, good, solid. You know, even though I was excited when he signed with the Falcons, and I thought the Falcons could win that division, and still think they could win that division with him as the quarterback, I almost now want to see Michael Penix Jr. because the guy sitting in the QB2 spot, I don't know what his ceiling will be. Where for Russ, I know what his ceiling is at this point. And the apex isn't anything that makes me, want to do somersaults in the street. And for Justin Fields, there's still that curiosity and that potential of what he could be. So, no, I'm not excited about Russell Wilson. And Russell Wilson already having to say, I found the fountain of youth in Pittsburgh. Like, can you go win a few games first? Can you go play well first before you tell me how now you have found the fountain of youth and we're going to see the old Russell Wilson once again? It's always such a show now with Russell Wilson, and it kind of is a major turnoff to me. Now, I also did see that Deshaun Watson, who you want to talk about someone that is tone deaf, by the way. Deshaun Watson was talking to reporters, and I was reading this via Fox News. On Tuesday, Watson appeared to embrace the chatter around him and chalked it up to him being a good player. I don't look at it in a negative way. I don't look at it in a bad way, he said. You know, each and every fan, each and every media person, they want to see me at a level that I'm capable of doing, so that's a standard. So I got to make sure I hold myself to it so it's not a bad thing. It's not anything like that. I don't get involved with people trying to rate me places where they think I'm at the bottom of the list. You know, it is what it is. If I was at the bottom, no one would talk about me. So obviously, if anyone is talking about me, continue to talk about me, then I must be pretty damn good. Does Deshaun Watson understand why people are talking about him is my question? Because the reason why we're talking about Deshaun Watson is, yes, I get it. Initially when he wanted out of the Texans organization, that was because the organization was a circus. But then the conversation changed because of all the things he was accused of. So the last time we saw Deshaun Watson, who, by the way, the Browns gave you a fully guaranteed contract, and they traded a lot of picks for you, and they just went to the postseason when you were hurt for most of the season, and you've only played 12 games in your career for the Cleveland Browns. But the last time we saw you being a very good quarterback, you know, someone that looked like he could be an elite quarterback in this league, was 2020. Now, you were out for all of 2021. 2022, you were out for all of it but 6 games because of the suspension. And then last year, you never really played all that great right before. The only good game you had was the game right before you got hurt. And then we didn't see you again. So the reason why people are talking about you is because you used to be good. We don't know if you'll be good again because right now you are an overpaid quarterback and we haven't seen you be great since 2020. So the question isn't, oh, why do people dislike Deshaun Watson? No, that's not the question. This is not people dislike you, even though there are, like, I acknowledge a lot of people dislike Deshaun Watson, deservedly so. But this isn't because people are disliking you and that's why they're asking the question. It's because you haven't been good in a while. You haven't been on the field consistently in a while. Your last full season was 2020. And I know Deshaun Watson's still young. You know, he's only 28 years old. He turns 29 in September. But when you have basically missed 3 straight years, it's tough then to bounce back and be worthy of that contract and be worthy of all those picks that you gave up. So the question now, when it comes to Deshaun Watson, isn't why are people asking this? It's obvious. It's not because, oh, you're good. It's because you haven't been good in a long time. So, man, Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson, 2 totally different conversations. But what they say right now, you know, Russ, I don't need to hear that you found the fountain of youth right now. And Deshaun Watson, I was at the bottom. If I was at the bottom, no one would talk about me. So obviously, if anyone is talking about me, continue to talk about me, then I must be pretty good. When has Deshaun Watson been at the top as a football quarterback in the last 3 years? Off the field, off the field, off the field. He's not been on the field. He was literally out all of 2021. 2022, 2023, for most of 2022, he was suspended, and then last year played 6 games. So it's not because you're this great quarterback and you're at the top. It's because you have self-inflicted, just terrible decisions and disgusting things that he's accused of, and you haven't been great since 2020. Think about everything that's gone on in the world since 2020. Think about 2020. That was the last time Watson was great. 2021 has happened, 2022 has happened, 2023 has happened, and now we're in 2024. And look where you're at. But it can't be because, you've actually are now considered a quarterback that's not good. It's because people just hate you. Come on. What are we doing here? All righty, let's end the shot and style update. Just some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio. Here is the news brief.
time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
All right, let's hear that audio from Russell Wilson. He feels rejuvenated with the Steelers.
I feel the fountain of youth, man. I feel revived in every way, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I feel confident. I think at some point you got to know who you are, as a player, as a man, as a competitor, as somebody who's been fortunate to be able to play in this game. I don't doubt it. I trust it. I felt really good last year playing. I felt really confident in the midst of everything. And so I think right now I have all that confidence times 10. So I just use it all, just use it all. You just trust it.
It's almost like he's trying to sell you a car that he knows it's broken down. That's what it sounds like. Here's Arthur Smith, the now offensive coordinator of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Is this an open QB competition between Russ and Justin Fields?
Mike stated on the record, Russ is in the pole position. It's a competition. Obviously, we get to Latrobe. Certainly I'm sure things will heat up, but both those guys knew that however they were acquired and they got here, and I think it's been pretty transparent. I know Mike said that on the record as well.
And here is Terry McLaurin on Jayden Daniels, the young quarterback for the Washington Commanders, second overall pick in the draft.
He's very talented, but he's extremely humble as well, and I'm looking forward to see how he continues to grow. And it's hard to pinpoint. When you're around him more, you can really tell, he's humble, but he's confident in his ability. He's played at the highest level. He's played against really great competition, and he knows that he can make all the throws. So he's not putting the cart before the horse. He's literally taking this thing day by day, and he's doing a really good job right now.
I don't know what the Commanders will be. I have no expectation for the Commanders this year, but I'm excited to see them this year because Jayden Daniels has been so fun to watch the last 2 years in college football. Here is Travis Kelce. Has he considered retirement like his brother who just retired this past offseason?
I know that there's opportunities outside of football for me, and I think you got to keep in perspective that I'm still a little kid when I come into this building, man. I know I'm 34 years old, about to be 35, but I have a love to do this right here, middle of the heat in June. I love coming to work every single day and doing this. So I'm going to do it till the wheels fall off, and hopefully that doesn't happen anytime soon. But I can definitely understand that it's towards the end of the road than it is the beginning of it. And I just got to make sure I'm set up for after football as well.
As long as he's dating Taylor Swift with all this popularity, he could retire tomorrow, but it seems like he thinks it's better for him to keep on playing. Now, I know Travis Kelce is in his mid-30s, like he said, and I know he's about to turn 35. It doesn't feel like he is in his mid-30s. When you're in mid-30s, you're at the end of your football career. It doesn't seem like he's in his mid-30s, even though last year he was not great in the regular season. He dropped off a little bit, still had a very good season, and then picked it up in the postseason. Here is the coach of the Cardinals, Jonathan Gannon. How has Marvin Harrison Jr. adapted to the NFL?
Pretty seamless. What he will need to adjust to is the speed of the game, guys playing different techniques, different body types on him. When he's one-on-one with different corners, because week 1 is going to look different than week 2 and all that stuff. So I think it'll just be a constant growth and learning from his standpoint of what works, what do I need to do, where does the quarterback expect me, who I'm playing against, different ways to get open versus different body types. The more reps he gets, the better off he'll be, and he's doing a good job. My expectation for him, he meets and exceeds it so far, so we'll keep it going like that.
Marvin Harrison Jr., to me, is the best player from this past draft, and I can't wait to see how him and Kyler Murray connect, because that could be a really fun connection out in the desert. Here is Derrick Henry, the benefit of having a QB like Lamar Jackson with the two of them teaming up.
Definitely brings a different aspect because he's a dual threat quarterback, and he's dangerous with his legs just as he is with his arm. And it's going to be fun and a breath of fresh air, not being the center of attention, knowing that eyes are going to be on him as well. But I'm just excited to get to work and put the work in out here and let it all come together when it's that time.
Think about when you line up on the goal line and you got a quarterback like Lamar Jackson and you have a big physical running back and a bruising running back like Derrick Henry. You get in the red zone, that's going to be so tough to stop those two in the red zone, especially when they're 5 yards out from the end zone. Because you may think Lamar has it, and then you can pitch it out to Derrick Henry. You may think Derrick Henry has it, and then Lamar could run it on the outside. And you look at Philadelphia, no different style back, but you have Jalen Hurts as the quarterback who's dual threat. And then you have Saquon Barkley, who is so athletic and will definitely play in more than 7.5 games this year. So I win my dinner bet with Carlos with the K, CK. Alrighty, that will do it for the Zach Gelb Show on this Wednesday. Enjoy the NBA Finals tonight. Game 3, we'll see if we finally get a series with the Celtics up 2-0. Big thanks to Neal Brown, head coach at West Virginia, for stopping by. Alex Myers, previewing the U.S. Open. Bart Winkler on Winkler Wednesdays. And then the Pro Football Hall of Famer and Tim Brown. Carlos Ortiz, thank you. Moist Mike, great job with those chicken wings today. Thank you very much. And a big thanks to each and every one of you. We will talk mañana, everybody, on a Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. I'm Zach Gelb. I'm out, everybody. Peace.